Are you feeling stressed as a freelancer because you always have to go out and find new clients after you finish a project? What if I told you that instead of having to go out and find new work, the work is actually right there under your nose? I run a multiple six-figure per year freelance business, and I literally haven't had to look for work in almost 10 years. In this episode, I'm going to break down how you get off the hamster wheel of constantly having to find new clients, and instead, how you can get work on autopilot. Before we jump in, let's go high level for a second. Every freelance business has 4 phases. The first phase is seeking. This is where you're seeking the attention of your clients. Now, a lot of freelancers spend way too much time in this phase. It's kind of like, that movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, where you keep reliving the same nightmare over and over. Now, the next phase is selling. This is where you're turning clients who are paying you with attention to paying you with money. The third phase is solving. This is where you're delivering your project to your client. And the fourth phase is sustaining. This is where you're getting clients to come back to you again and again. These are the 4 phases of freelancing. And you might be thinking today that we're going to talk about sustaining, but getting work on repeat actually starts before that in the solving phase while you're doing the work. Let me explain. Have you ever taken your car into the shop and you go there for one thing, but the mechanic points out something else that needs to be fixed too? I'm not talking about the scammy places that are just trying to take more of your money. I'm talking about an honest mechanic, the kind that truly helps you by saving you from something way more costly down the road. Once, I went to my mechanic to get a part replaced, and he noticed that my brake pads were really worn. He said if I let them go much further, I'll end up damaging the rotors. And then it's going to cost me twice as much to get my brakes done. That's exactly who you want to be for your client. Think about it. When we're implementing the solution for our client, just like the mechanic, we're under the hood. We're getting an inside look at how their business and how their systems operate. We get to see all of it up close. You know that discovery process you did way back in the selling phase when you were first uncovering your client's pain points? That should never end. Anytime at all is the time to ask questions about your client's business. There's no better time than when you're actually in the weeds doing the implementation for your client. Recently, I was the lead on a large software migration project for a client. They were moving to a new core system, and one of the things they had to do was load hundreds of thousands of products into the new system. Now, these product characteristics change often. So what they need to do is they need to do mass updates of these products. But in the new system, there was no way to do that. They could only update one product at a time. My client would have needed to have to hire tons of people just to keep up with the work. It would have been cost prohibitive. So I did some poking around, and I figured out that the vendor had some little used APIs. Now, it took a little bit of wrangling with the vendor to get those APIs to work properly, but ultimately, I created a product update tool for my client using Excel. That gave my client an interface that they were used to using, they were familiar with, but it also made it super easy for them to update lots of products at once. Now, the reason I got this project was because of one thing and one thing only. I kept asking questions. I kept digging into their systems and their processes. I kept poking around. Now, you might feel hesitant to do that. You might be feeling like, I don't want to be nosy, or I don't want to seem like I'm snooping. But the truth is, asking questions shows that you really truly care about their business. It shows that you care about more than just getting the project done and getting paid. Here's an everyday example. Imagine you're building a relationship with someone, and all they ever ask you about is the same thing over and over. Every time you get together, they always ask, hey, so how's your family? They never ask you about anything else. How would that make you feel? You'd be thinking, don't you want to get to know anything else about me? You only ever ask about one area of my life. you would want them to be interested in all areas of your life, not just one. In the same way, when you show genuine interest in your client's operations and how they're doing, your client is going to feel that you truly care. There's a scripture in Philippians chapter 2, verse 20, and this is where Paul is writing to one of the churches, and he's writing to them about his friend Timothy. He says about Timothy that he doesn't know anyone else who genuinely cares about your interests. Paul is saying Timothy really stands out. So what's the principle? The quality of really genuinely taking interest is rare. And when you take genuine interest in your client, you're going to stand out to them. Now, this solving phase that we're talking about today, it's by far the most important phase of the whole client engagement. We need to deliver. We're fulfilling on the offer that we made to our client. Nothing else matters if we don't nail the fulfillment. But it's also the phase where a lot of freelancers make the mistake of seeing fulfillment as just a transaction. In other words, just deliver so you can get paid. Now, there may be reasons why you want to do that. Get paid and be done with the client. We'll talk about that a little later on. But 99 times out of 100, you want more work from the client. This is the easiest way to grow your freelance business. So thinking of the client engagement as a transaction is a huge mistake. Transact, that word literally means carry to completion. In other words, once a transaction has taken place, you're done, you're out. But if you have that mindset, you're going to cut yourself off from so much work. I'm currently working on a Power BI project with a client, and one of their sources is an Excel file in Azure Blob Storage. Now, this is nothing out of the ordinary, but while I was doing the work, I put my discovery cap on and I kept asking questions. I found out that this Excel file is being manually updated by someone. He's compiling it from reports that he gets from the vendor's reporting system. When I found this out, I asked, so what happens when you go on vacation? His answer, the data stops being updated. This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Surprising? Not really. Every company has issues like this. So guess what my next project is going to be? I'm going to automate it. I'm going to automate it so that when he's not in the office, the data is still up to date. And the only reason I have this next project is because I never stopped asking questions. I never stopped taking genuine interest in my client's business and how I could help them. Here's the truth. Businesses have endless problems, endless needs. There are always things that need to be improved. Processes that need to be streamlined. Workflows that need to be optimized. Technologies that need to be replaced. Things that are just broken and need to be fixed. You could be the one who sees the problems and offers the solution. I've made well over $1 million, almost $2 million at this point from a single client. Not because of one big project, but because of all the follow-on work that I've gotten from that client. So while we're implementing, we want to learn as much about our client's business as we can. Be curious. Ask tons of questions. As we're solving one problem, we should be helping them uncover other problems. Trust me, you will find plenty of other things that your client needs help with. But, and here's a big but, never agree to do additional work that's outside of the proposal for free. Would you just randomly ask your client for more money after you already agreed on the price for the project? No, of course you wouldn't. In the same way, your client shouldn't randomly ask you to do more work under the agreement. If your client asks you to do more work, here's how you respond. Sure, we can do this as a project ad. I'll write up the quote, then write it up for them promptly and get it to them. If the client insists that they thought this work was under this agreement that you made for the project, you really have a communication issue. Either it's in something that you wrote or something you didn't write in the proposal, or maybe in something that you said. Remember this always, your words matter. Now, this is why it's so important to go through the proposal with your client page by page. Make sure they understand everything in the proposal. Make sure you ask them if they have any questions. If there are misunderstandings, rewrite that part of the proposal to clarify, and then send them a revised copy. Our goal is to deliver the project in a way that delights our client. And there are 3 keys to this. I call these the 3 Ps of project delivery. The first is simply be prompt. Deliver the project on time or early if you can. The second P is progress. Keep your client up to date on the progress. Over communicate throughout the project about how things are going. Keep them in the loop at all times. And the third P is people. Remember, ultimately you are doing this project for people. So build relationship with the people that you interact with on this project. Be helpful throughout the project. Share your observations, share your suggestions, serve them in a way that you become someone that they rely on. Bond with your client, show interest in them personally, guide them, literally hold their hand throughout the entire project. You want them to get to the point at the end of the project where they don't want to let go of your hand. Another really important part of the solving phase when you're delivering the project is to take time to reflect, evaluate. First, do you enjoy working with this client? If you don't, maybe you don't want to do more work for them. Maybe this should be the end of the client relationship. Do you enjoy working in this industry? Do you enjoy solving these kinds of problems? Think about this. Think about finding fulfillment in the work that you do. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 13, Solomon writes about finding satisfaction in the work that you do. And that finding satisfaction in the work that you do is a gift from God. If you don't find satisfaction in the work that you're doing, it's okay to do a different kind of work. Try something else. It's okay to try a different kind of client. Also, take time to record what you're doing. As you're delivering the project, take time to document what you're doing. This is going to be a case study for you in the future. The thing to remember is this. Alex Hormozi would say, show, don't tell. Proof over promise. What that means is that promise is worth very little without any proof. So make sure you have some proof. Make sure you have something to show your future potential clients. Bottom line is this. A recent study estimated that 80% of freelancers have client acquisition problems. What that means is that you need to start building a reliable way to get new clients. Of course, the best way, as we're talking about today, is to get work from your existing clients through your existing project. But you'll also want to have the resources so that you can go out and get new clients if that's what you want to do. Here's the thing. Large businesses have marketing machines for regular client acquisition. As a freelancer, you probably don't. So you want to do everything you can to get repeat work from existing clients. And that starts here in the delivery phase, in the solving phase. If you would like help starting or growing your freelance business, there's a link in the description. You can click that, fill out a form. I'll be in touch with you. We can jump on a call and see if there might be an opportunity to work together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.